Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Karting Live TV this weekend, coming from the sunny South Wales and the circuit that is known as LLandow, down just west of Cardiff, and with the sky hardly got a cloud in it, the temperature rising to just above 20 degrees. It's a beautiful day. My name, as usual, is Joe Bradley, and joining me for this afternoon's session, where we're going to have a look at all of our classes that are running in the Access Karting Series. Remember last year we went to the Access Karting Series down at Ella Park, and it was certainly a surprise, a delightful surprise, to find some different classes that were new to Karting Live TV. But joining me is the man that's put all of this together, the man behind Access Karting, or at least one of the people behind Access Karting, James Purchase. James, welcome to Karting Live TV, and you're here and you're going to tell us all about your series. And I've got to say, mate, my eyes were widened even further than they normally are when we came to Ella Park last year. I'm delighted to be here at round two, but also, even more important than just gathering points for the championship, it's all about the Welsh Championship, isn't it? The Dragon Plate, the D Plate. What's all that about?
So the D Plate is it's one of those become a deep part of 100 UK and now Access Karting history. It was an event where we were sort of a guest class in a number of other series, and we decided to step away from that at very short notice, and we organised, I think there was 12 of us originally, just to come here, take part in their OKR, and just do an independent round and see how it felt. And we did that, called it the Dragon Cup, which was at the time just a bit of fun, but has now turned itself into probably the longest standing event, but also the event where we sort of sat around and said, you know what, our ethos is a little bit different, and what we do is a little bit different, and we really just need to stand on our own 2 feet and not be subject to being a guest class in everybody else's series. So that was sort of the starting point where the mental shift came in, where we started moving towards what is now Access Karting, I think.
And there's quite an accolade, isn't it, running a plate rather than just your normal race number. And if you can acquire a plate, and up to now we've got, there's the O plates and the E plates that are renowned in karting, but you guys have the Macy Cup, which you ran in February.
Yes.
And the winners of the M plate, the Macy Cup, I'm going to ask you about the Macy Cup in a minute, will carry that plate for the remaining part of the season. The D plate, likewise, this weekend, that'll be carried by choice. It's a choice, though. You don't have to if you're superstitious and you want to run your number.
No, I've actually wrote into the regulations.
Have
you have to run your seeded plates.
Round of applause.
So,
round of applause.
So it's a big thing, I think, when you're coming into a series like this, and you're into entry-level motorsport. I think it's a really important thing to see all those yardsticks out on the track.
I don't think you're going to get anybody who doesn't want to run their D plate, though. Surely,
I would hope.
I wouldn't have thought not.
I would hope not.
No.
With what it means to the series, it's always been one that we've really asked, especially when it wasn't in the regulations for people to run. But I've made it mandatory. So
well done. Round of applause from me. Currently practicing in their final practice session of the day is the GX UK Junior Championship. And I'm noticing that a driver there, Angus Langley,
yes,
is carrying the OM plate.
I don't know if you can cut to the camera, but Angus is just on the grass there at the moment.
Oh, is he really?
Yes,
is he really? Where is he?
But yeah, so
Angus is not actually on track at the moment.
No, he was. He's on the grass.
He's managed to put an 8th quickest lap time in just 3 laps. So
indeed, yeah, he's been at the front very regularly. I think he's probably just dropped a chain.
What's the OM for?
So we won the O plate at the end of last year. It was the last event of the year, and it was his first win with the series. So he'd come to us as he'd done some karting, but relatively.
There's Angus there.
There we go. Unlucky Angus. I'm sure he'll really thank us for this camera.
Yes.
But he joined the series as not a complete novice, I don't think, but he was a relative novice. Had never done owner karting, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
And just gradually built up. He was kind of running mid-pack, and then gradually through the season found his way to the front, and then culminated his year in winning the O plate down at Dunkerswell. And then we came back out at the Macy Cup in February, and he was just pace setter all day, pretty much. And been very, very pleased with him, because he has the choice. He could run O or M, or he could run, I think he got 5 in the championship last year, and he could pick from those, but he decided to run the O and the M.
So if he wins the D plate, he's going to be the Dom.
He will be Dom.
He's going to need a bigger number.
Well, I've told him he needs to then win the championship and be Dom 1.
Yes,
and
Dom
then,
1.
And then open a bar in Spain. But no, he's doing all right. He's good lad. Good lad.
GX Juniors, they're running the Honda GX engine.
Yes.
They're on a 1050 chassis. They're on. Are they slightly narrower tyres in the juniors, or
no,
exactly the same?
So these are all normal
right.
full size chassis. They're not running the 950 Inters. This is full size. Yeah. They're running Maxi Sports, so it's a full size senior tyre, and they're just got different weight limits to the grown ups. So they're running around at 120 kilos if they're running an unrestricted 160 engine, which I think Sam Blammy is at the moment. I don't know if Sam's out on track there.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, but they go setting the pace on a 160. And then I think most of the other guys are running around at 140 on a 200. So it just gives the smaller drivers the opportunity. Last year we were running the 160s at 125, and they were a little bit uncompetitive. I think it was just a little bit too far for the 160s to pull them. So we've lowered that weight limit 5 kilos this year.
So I know what 160 and 200 is, but give the viewers an idea. No. That's why I dragged you in here to explain to the viewers exactly what classes are about. So we've got 2 different engine formulas out there, haven't we?
So you've got the 160cc Honda, which has been the typical cadet engine that's run for several, decades, probably 2 decades maybe. Yeah. And then just recently the 200cc Hondas have come out in Inters and Juniors. So we've got the option to run either in this class, and we just split them by weight, and we've done some testing, and we've got what we now think is the right gap where you can see it'll vary track to track. So I think Sam here, because we've got some quite long rotation corners and you're in the corner for a long time, I think the 160s are maybe going to be more at the front at this one, but then we've been to some tracks like Wilton and Clay where they're a little bit more difficult to get to the front, but ultimately I think over the season it averages out.
And are you guys kind of balance? It's a balance of performance, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
And are you doing that with weight, did you say?
Yes, so there's a 20 kilo difference just to make sure that we put them in sort of the right ballpark. But as you can see from the times there, so I mean I think we've got a couple of tenths in it or something.
Yeah, there's 4 tenths actually.
Oh, okay.
So Sam Blamey.
Sam came in third on the road at Wilton, so it'll be peaks and troughs. But I think Sam has looked pretty good all day driving. So
it's only a practice session, so we don't know what Sam's trying there. We don't know what tyres people are on.
Yep.
So this is, live timing is available via Alpha Timing if you're interested in seeing how your friends or family are doing, or in fact just interested like us. Unfortunately for our OM plate holder, Angus, that's a very rare sight, I've got to say, James. These Honda engines are bulletproof, by the way. Oh, I forgot to ask, are they sealed, unsealed?
Yes, so the juniors can run a blue sealed MSUK spec cadet engine, or they can run, we've got Monkey Motorsport who do sealing for us as well.
Right.
So if you buy a Pro Kart engine without a restriction and you need it put in, Monkey can seal it for us.
Right.
And
make sure it complies with the regs.
Yeah. So they'll run it through their dyno and do a feature check and just make sure we're on point. We don't seal the 160s because the 160s in Honda were never sealed. So we just check those to the regulations with our scrutineer. Right.
So that keeps everything square. So it doesn't become, you don't get people spending thousands of pounds on engine tuning on these things, which has happened in the history of 100%. The Honda Cadet engine, isn't it? I mean, the ridiculous
what
prices.
You tend to find now, because the 160 Honda Cadet scene's kind of dropped off, you can actually get some really high performance engines at very, very little money. And then you look at all the MSUK sealed engines, they tend to exchange hands for like 400 quid as a rule second hand, or 900 quid brand new. So because they're 900 quid brand new, you don't really see silly money going for engines now.
Yeah,
so
not thousands of pounds.
No. We aim to have people out on track with the Karting engine if they buy everything second hand for around or under £1,000. So
I picked up on your Facebook page the recommended current gearing.
Yes, that's
very, very useful when you come into a track, but also the current lap record. And the current lap record for the class that we've just seen out there, the GX UK Juniors, was a 51.9. Well, we're seeing that being beaten in practice sessions. That could be down to weather conditions, perfect conditions, I've got to say. Perfectly dry, perfectly sunny, quite hot, in fact. So the track temperature is going to be way up there, 37 degree track temperature, perfect conditions to go karting and racing, isn't it?
So what you've actually got here as well on top of that is there's been a bit of resurfacing at LLandow. So if you look at the braking zone as you come past the hook on the first corner, the fast right over the back under the trees, I forget the name, and then the chicane as you come onto the main straight have all been resurfaced. So I think people are just finding it a little bit more grippy there than it was.
Right, I've got the names actually.
There we go.
Surtees is the double apex left-hander.
Yes.
Out of Hook. Hook is a right-hander into a left-hand hairpin, isn't it? It looks like
yes,
it's not a chicane.
No, we
a
like to call
right-hander
it a chicane, but it is a little bit more to do than that.
Yeah, it might be a chicane if I'm in a GT3 car, but in a car, that's a right-hander followed by a hairpin left. And then we go, we'll have a look at the track as we get our pictures. And then McWhirter's is the right-hander bringing us onto the Lancaster curve into Chandler's down the Spitfire Straight.
So Chandler's is the bit that's been resurfaced, and then the Dell has been resurfaced as well.
And the Dell is now the Dell is a chicane, all important chicane, bringing you out onto the Hanger Straight towards the final corner.
I predicted, just from having tested it, that I thought we'd be about 4 or 5 tenths faster because of those bits of resurfacing. So
I think you're on target for that. I think you were spot on.
It looks about right. So we will see. But I'm sure they might go a bit quicker when they get out there with the tow and whatever. So we'll see how they get on.
Yeah, absolutely. Next out, we've got one of my favourites. Again, discovered that at Ella Park last year. The F300s. Now, the F300s are a formula of karting that are completely different to what we've seen in any championship. Completely different to what we've seen in any other championship, insofar as 4 different manufacturer engines allowed. I've already been chatting to Matt Cater about his X-Row, I think it is. X-Row, which is a rotary engine.
Yes.
A Wankel rotary engine. The VT Twin, or the V-Twin I should say, the Swiss Auto and the Billand. I've driven a Billand many years ago when they first appeared. They're a heavy cart, but they push off the corner is phenomenal.
Yes.
Now the hairpin here that finishes the lap at LLandow, the way that these carts accelerate, and then you can see how the drivers are driving them. You can see there's a bit of a weight. They're a heavy cart, they're not a light, nimble cart, and with the amount of power, you've still got to drive these carts smoothly. A really fascinating formula.
Yeah, it's interesting having those different engine manufacturers out there and having, again, sort of different tracks, different times when certain formulas of combinations of chassis and engine just seem to work, and other places where it sort of wanes and maxes across different places. But they have a lot of fun out there, and they're a good group. They're really welcoming to anybody who wants to get involved in the series. And there's I think we've got 2 or 3 different engine dealers on the grid as well, so they help people acquire what they need to get out there and get racing. So.
Yeah, not the biggest grid we've got, but it's certainly the fastest grid we've got this weekend.
Yeah, I think we've only got about half of them out there for practicing now.
Yeah.
I know a few of them practice on Friday and give the body a rest for the next day. So
that's a good point, actually. Or you know what, 44.570 coming here this weekend. These times that we're seeing in this practice session aren't official, but we're already seeing a 44.2 from Levi Goodyear, and I'm familiar with Levi Goodyear because he's raced in Rotax and other series. So Levi,
I think he was racing NKC at Forest, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, he was. And Levi more at home with a bit more power under his right foot, I think, and certainly that's beginning to show. That's Levi on the orange and black cart there that we're just following through.
Yeah, we had his dad out at Wilton Mill, and his dad won at Wilton Mill there, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Well, so that corner there, the right-hander, that is Chandler's. This one here is the Dell.
Yeah.
So out of the Dell, onto the Hanger Straight, down towards the hairpin, and Nick's gonna do his magic here and keep us intact. That hairpin there is called Raymond's. We'll find out why. I'm not sure. There's a story there. And then this section here, the hook. It's a right-hander followed by a hairpin, and then followed by out of the left-hand hairpin into the right-hander. This is into a double apex surtees, and then from there, short burst and into McWhirter's. That right-hander there, McWhirter's, out onto the Lancaster curve. It's not straight. It's a sweeping curve that brings you into a very, very quick right-hander at Chandler's. What a beautiful setting that is, isn't it, Jims?
Not when it rains, and it keeps the track very moist.
Oh, the
that
tree
bit of shade
shading,
there.
yeah, right,
absolutely.
okay.
You always have to walk over there and make your decision on tyres based on whether it's wet under the trees.
Now the number 69 is out on track. It's he's got Gulf liveried overalls with a Gulf liveried cart, and I don't know who that is because there isn't a 69 on the timing screen.
Yeah, I think he's forgot to put his transponder in, which we like to try and remind the drivers to do, but drivers are always laws upon themselves on it.
Yes, we'll make sure.
I think we've got actually got Alex Van Gien out there as well in a cart without a transponder.
Have we?
Yeah, 52. I think he's pottering around. I think, and he's probably doing something for his YouTube channel. Yeah.
He is, isn't he? What's he on then? What cart is he on?
That'll be Andy Martin's cart, who's tested yesterday and having a rest today, I think. So
Right.
Ryan, his son, is racing today. So I think they've just split the testing over 2 different days.
I see. Okay. So Alex Van Gien, who you see out with the GX UK seniors, is perhaps the most watched man in the Access Karting series with his YouTube channel.
I think Brad might argue differently, but yeah.
yeah, of course.
But this is part of what we do here as well, is giving people opportunities to drive karts they've never driven. Like I went out in a pro kart yesterday for the first time in my life.
Right.
Just something different. And
You've never driven a pro kart before?
No, not
oh, really?
yesterday.
I'm surprised, James.
No, I was as well. They all were a bit gobsmacked, so they sent me out in it. Yeah,
what did you think?
Different because of it being on maxi, so it was much more responsive than I was expecting. I thought it'd be quite lazy, but because it was on maxi sports, it seemed to be. It wasn't much different to driving, a typical two-stroke, because it was kind of on the nose with the grip.
Right. Oh, yes, they can be.
Yeah, obviously the delivery was very different, but
yes.
But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting just to drive something different.
You don't want a pointy cart for an endurance race. No, I can assure you.
No, but sprinting it was all right.
Yeah. Sometimes 6 hours, certainly not 24.
Yeah, I don't think the amount of input I was doing, I'm not sure I'd have enjoyed it for a few hours. But,
yes.
But no, it was good. Found myself relatively near the pace pretty quickly, so it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
they were trying to have a word with me and trying to get me to enter one of their races at the minute, because they found out I've got a pro kart in the garage, but we'll see.
Well, you should absolutely see. Now then, as we've got the checkered flag just bringing to an end this session for the F300s, we'll be bringing you all of their heats and finals tomorrow.
Yeah, sorry, I should add actually. Mm-hmm. Last year F300 were a guest class with the series, but they've been rebranded as F300 UK now, and they are sort of they've come in as one of the core classes now, so they're going to be with us for the long haul now. Because I think they've been looking for a home for a while, and they've just really enjoyed the atmosphere that we've had in the paddock, and sort of they've looked after us and we've looked after them. So yeah, so we're permanently with us now, which is nice.
Well, that is nice, and I hope we can generate some interest. If you're interested in something different that still has the performance of a very, very fast kart around here. I mean, a 44.5 second lap time around LLandow with all of the technicalities that the circuit brings. They are not hanging around, and the way that these things punch off the corner, they're basically trying to push your internal organs out your back when you blast out of that hairpin there at the end of the lap. They really do rocket off the line.
Yeah, I should mention as well, they've actually changed tyre this year. They've moved to the Vega green, so they've gone a little bit softer.
Oh, have they really?
That's why they contributing factor to some of the lap time as well. So.
Yes, and that'll contribute even more to traction out of slow corners. They'll be cracking to drive. Great experience to drive, and something different. And if you like the engineering aspect, and there's a lot of people in this paddock who do, James, I could tell that just from walking around. There's a lot of tinkering going on. There's a lot of lad and dad karting outfits out there.
Yeah, well, we don't allow teams in the paddock anyway.
Yes.
So it's everybody's a privateer, which is nice, because I think it generates a camaraderie of we all know we're in it together, and people help each other a lot more than what you might find in an atypical paddock where. It's just a different model. There's nothing wrong with either. But
it's took me back though, James, because you say there's no teams, but I've certainly when I started karting, you would paddock, you would get into the paddock, and you would cluster around people who you knew.
Yes.
That changed once you became competitive, of course. Nobody would talk to you.
I wouldn't know.
And you would form a group of mates who you would be racing together, and you'd hate each other on the track. But when you got back to the paddock, you would chat about your race, and there is that camaraderie, as you say, that community. There's a community feel in the Access Karting paddock that is becoming more and more rare, and I think. It comes down to intensity, isn't it? The other national series. I mean, this weekend we're not that far away from Dunkswell, where the second round of the Vera Tools Rotax British Championship is. That will have a completely different ambience in their paddock, I can assure everybody.
Absolutely, and so it should.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're right. It's a different beast, isn't it? But we definitely like our ethos of trying to keep costs low, trying to be designing a friendly way to enter the sport. and making sure that everybody's enjoying the experience as they join. And I think because there's so many people that need the help, it generates that atmosphere of them all helping each other because they know where they've all been there sort of 12 months ago, which if you look at when we're into GX Seniors now, but if you look at the explosion in that, we started out with, it was 8 people at Stretton once.
Is that right?
Yeah, back in, I think that was only July 23.
Who came up with the idea? Who came up? Because we had the Honda engine, the single Honda engines, which were familiar in cadet karting, and then we had everybody used to think that senior level karting you needed 2 engines, you needed pro cars. Where did the concept come that you could race these things with only 1 engine?
So I'll give some credit to NATSCA actually. They've got what they call Class 11, which I was helping a friend's daughter just with a bit of, not driver coaching, but just a bit of advice and just a bit of mechanical side and just doing some basic setup stuff with it. And I was just looking at it and thinking, well, they're doing this with the 160 as an entry-level thing. Why wouldn't that work for seniors? But on the expectation that they would want to go a little bit faster. Because that class was open tyres, no weights at the time, which they've rectified from a regulatory perspective now, and they've done all the right things with that, which is great. So we looked at it, thought there must be a way to make these quick enough to be faster than anything you can rent, but slow enough that you're not learning on the fly, and mechanically simple enough that anybody can do it.
Yeah.
And that was the basic principle that we tried to put around. So it was spec tyres, make the chassis older, so 2018 or older.
Yeah.
Just sealed engines, make everything as conformative as possible so that you can't spend your way to performance, and then make it as simple as humanly possible. And how much simpler does it get than pull the cord and then away?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not doing breakneck speeds, and that's not the model. We're not trying to do breakneck speeds. If you're mechanically inefficient and you have a long brake pedal in a Rotax or something, that's not fun. With this, you've got so much grip, and you're not going as fast, and you can not get away with it because obviously crashing's crashing, but you can make it. You can learn your mistakes more quickly without the danger and the concern and the stresses that come with all those things.
I absolutely get this. And all right, I find every class of karting is exciting. But the racing that we're going to see in the GX UK's classes, both senior and junior, I use the example. All right, these are not the fastest karts that you'll see.
No.
However, the British Touring Car Championship isn't as quick as the British GT Championship. The cars aren't as quick.
No.
However, what series gets the biggest crowd?
Absolutely.
What series does everybody want to see?
Absolutely.
And that's the analogy. That's the example I'll use. The comparison I'll use is exactly that. The racing is pure. It's pure racing. You've got to be smooth. You've got to be fast and smooth. You haven't got the power to get you out of any mistakes.
No, absolutely
you
not.
get mullered if you make the slightest mistake.
And this takes me back to like the racing a little bit like TKM when I was a kid. Then like you've got a train, and if you make a mistake, the train's coming through, and you've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
We had last year at Clay. I think I probably said it on the Ella Park commentary, but we had the top 22 finish within 9 seconds. I think it was, and it was just great to watch. Hopefully we have a bit more of that.
And you've got 2 full grids. I mean, that's how successful.
Yeah.
Is this the success story of the Atlas karting series?
I mean, it's certainly one of them.
Yes, because there's many.
I think because
you're right.
It's probably the most innovative. Because if you look at 100 UK, Junior, Senior, and 115, they are recreations of what I class to be the golden era of TKM, when the grids were huge and you had C finals and D finals, and it was all fantastic. And the kit's out there, and we can get it, and we can bring back that sort of forgotten era, if that makes sense.
Yes.
This is completely innovative in the sense of no one else has ever done this at this scale.
Yeah.
And we've genuinely had to cap memberships for seniors and juniors this year because we just couldn't fill it. We hadn't got the timetable space, so we've capped at 60 seniors and 34 juniors. So we've got 2 full sets of grids. We've got 50 seniors here and 31 juniors for this one. We had a few more, not many more, but we had a few more at Wilton last time out. So yeah, it's really interesting. And the sort of the discrepancy in some of the drivers. We've got a few Rotax drivers who've won stuff. We've got a few people who've like won at other series like Club 100 and things like that, and then we've got some absolute complete novices in their 50s and 60s, and they just love it because they can physically do it, and it's okay.
That's why I was looking at it. I was thinking, all right, I might need to lose 10 kilograms or perhaps more.
Yeah, you can.
But if I could do that, I can only do about 5 laps in the Rotax these days. My home track is Warden Law.
Right.
Honestly, 4 laps and I can't breathe.
Yeah.
But I reckon, on a higher kart, which these things are just slightly a bit more quicker. But it wasn't that attracted me to that, because, I'm the sort of person who races a supermarket trolley around the cold meats.
Absolutely.
I take a racing line through the milk and onto the cheese.
Yeah. And I've heard that from some of the guys on the grid. Like, they'd literally say, I would race a shopping trolley if it was close and it was fun, and it is.
Yeah, and it is. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And, Matthew, by the way, Matthew Roberts, currently at the head of again, not a competitive session, so the times are just practice times. But Matthew Roberts carrying the number 3. Indeed. Are we running seeded numbers?
We are.
So top 10?
So this is odds, and there's the even session coming up later because we had to split them because there's 50 of them.
So the top 10 in the 2024 championship will be running 1 to 10?
Yes.
Is that in the regulations that you have to?
It is.
Again, round of applause, because it makes our commentary job a lot easier. Because I can say, he was 3rd in the championship last year. Just at a glance.
Yeah.
At a glance. Checkered flag will fly then for our first glimpse of GX UK seniors. We've got another group of GX UK seniors coming out shortly. That will be for our even numbered karts. This gives us a chance, James, I think, to talk about the season so far. Wilton Mill was your first round.
Yes.
Massive entry again, as you would expect.
Yeah,
for Wilton.
Our biggest entry we'd ever had in the history. So in last year, first year, we had 145 come to clay, and then we found ourselves at Wilton with 194, and Brilliant. It was just it was a bit,
How many you've got here?
183. So it's certainly taken off, and it's taken some catching up as an organisation, but we're getting there. But I do think because of the ethos that we have. I always say to the drivers, there's roles where we're bringing new people into the series, like we're training timekeepers, we're training grid marshals, we're training scrutineers, and we're bringing people into the sport in its entirety. So we haven't gone out and gone, right, we'll just nick a clerk from somewhere else, or we'll do this, or we'll do that. We've found people who've either fallen out of the sport to bring them back, or we're finding people who've never been in the sport and bringing them in. And
I call the Access Series is entry-level karting.
Yeah, I think so.
This is where you come from your higher car championship, your indoor and outdoor higher car championships. Yeah. This is where you can really sort of...
Yeah, I certainly think that for the GX classes. I think with the TKM classes, it's a mixture. You do get people who are complete novices and they just want to have a go at it, but they want to go a lot faster than when they've been in corporate racing, and that's fine. But we also get past champions, O-Play holders, festival winners, all sorts. So you get both ends of the spectrum in the TKM stuff, and certainly in the F300 stuff.
But also what you've just described there with bringing in officials and your timekeepers and your scrutineers, it's entry level.
Oh yeah,
it's entry level karting on all angles. Whether I want it, I think marshalling or whatever.
Yeah, I think for us it's an opportunity to give back a bit and bring new people in and make something different and make something happen. And a lot of the people who are in this might move on to other series, might do other things, but that's fine. That's part of our model, and I've said that to all the drivers as they come in. It's not a lobster pot. We're not trying to get you in and hold you in. You race where you want to race. If you're not enjoying it, you want to do something else, that's fine. We'll help you, support you. We'll find the series for you that you want to move to. If you love what this is and you just want to move within this paddock, that's great, and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And you will get people who do want to try.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do want to go to the UKC or even the British Championship in whatever.
And that's absolutely fine. Go and try it. We've had Don Pine, who finished second in our 100 UK last year. Jamie Scott, who finished 5th, I want to say. And they've both gone over to NKC and they're racing TKM over there, and that's great. Good luck. We wish them every success.
I was chatting to Samantha Topless,
yes,
who was in she was at Forest Edge.
Yeah, she was sharing her honour with me.
Yeah, was she? Right. Yeah, and you yourself, you were at the NKC as well as doing this. Yeah. Well, you completely different chassis that she's got here this weekend.
Yeah.
We chatted to her in the paddock show.
Yes.
Incredible. She's on a 1996 chassis.
Yes.
And when I said to her, she said it's about 20 years old. I went, it's about 30 years old. Went, oh my goodness.
It's older than me.
I said, yeah, it absolutely is.
Yes.
Out on the track at the moment, then 100 UK, the 100cc air-cooled TKM engines for the junior category, for the junior age groups. I'm old enough to remember when Talco brought in Formula TKM.
Yes. 94.
Yes,
it was 100 UK before that. It was 94 and 94 that came out as TKM.
It came in as a cost-effective formula because prior to that, I raced in 100 nationals, and my engine lasted 3 hours.
Yeah.
And along came TKM, and you got, I think, 10 hours or something.
Yep.
And and everything was a lot cheaper. The pistons, your piston rings, etc., etc. That is it. What's incredible is that basic formula is still as healthy as anything.
Absolutely. Well, this is one of the if you're asking for success stories, I think we've gone from, we had a record grid previously of 14 in 100 UK, which was Wilton in 23 or 24. But then this year this has kind of exploded. We had 22 out at Wilton. We got, I think it's 18 here. So it's been really, really nice, and I think because we've changed the cadet format, we've seen a lot of our cadets from last year sort of move their way into this formula to stay in the series because that's what they wanted to do, which is lovely. And we've helped them all as much as we can, and help them find kits and help them learn it. I've been doing tutorials online on how to maintain a carburetor and how to clean your piston ring and all sorts of stuff.
Which is great, James. I mean, that's tremendous. And again, it just enhances that entry-level ethos.
There'll be people on this commentary thinking James doesn't know how to do that.
Well, you always get the haters, mate.
Oh, no. They won't be haters. They'll be my mates.
Well, yes, you'll always get the critique.
Absolutely.
Don't worry.
Absolutely.
I noticed that the round one was very much the property. He put a flag on Wilton Mill, didn't he? Seb Corking in this class.
Yes, he did.
Lucy Lovell, though, raced him all the way, didn't she? She really chased him.
Lucy had a massive crash.
We saw that.
Yeah, on the Saturday. It was a bit of a horror show, and when you see all the marshals running, you know something's happened, don't you? And bless her, she went to the hospital after session 1, having had that crash. Came back by the time session 4 was on, fixed the car, went back out session 6 and raced all the next day. And
I said to her earlier,
very impressive, very proud of her.
The photographs appeared of that shunt,
yes,
and it was a violent shunt where she was pitched out of the seat and stuff. And I said to her, "Were you surprised by the pictures? Having that was you?" She said, "Yeah, I didn't think it was as bad as that."
No.
Incredible.
Yeah, so with a bent chassis and feeling a bit sore, she Seb definitely had the pace all day, but she definitely gave it a good go, and fully expecting it to be a bit closer when we come to this one, along with Oliver Borg, who came in just behind Lucy at that one, and then you'll have Jack Scott and Yelena and Ollie, who are the sort of top seeded plates from last year. I'm expecting to be in the mix as well. So we'll
Yeah, I mean across the season, I mean, we did an interview with Seb that'll go out in the paddock show, and we know Seb. I know Seb because he's from the northeast.
Yes,
but I know Seb from other series as well, and I know him and his dad are fiercely competitive. They don't do anything without they don't come here not to win.
No.
They do everything. They're going to win. He wants to win the championship.
Yeah, and he's won a couple of races before this season with us, even as a young one. So he definitely. And he had the pace to win at Rara a couple of years ago, and it started to drizzle and he came off, unfortunately, bless him.
But what I also find, James, is that, all right, you've got your top 5, but some of my best races were for 20th.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you've got you find someone to race, and you will over a weekend.
Well, I always
have some great fun.
I always say it doesn't matter what class you're in, you can only race the one in front and the one behind.
That's right.
So as long as you've got that, you're all right.
Yeah. As long as there's somebody as slow as you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm always looking for that guy. If anybody out there thinks they're as slow as me, they're welcome to come and join, and I'll have some racing.
Just under half a minute then for the 100 UK Juniors. Just want to have a chat to you about the calendar. So from here, round 3 is at Fulbeck, and that is at the beginning of June.
Yes.
You then go to Lyd, all the way down in Kent.
Indeed.
Never been to Lyd. So
no.
you come from the north.
We tried to see if you were free for that one, but I think it was unlucky with your calendar. I think we clashed with something.
I think so.
But maybe next year. Maybe we'll get you to come down to the sea.
Yeah, I'd love to do the whole series. I really would. I'd love to do all the series. Rowra up in Cumbria in August. Now, you've got a good chance of having a sunny day at Rowra, which are very rare.
I mean, you never know.
You never know. No, it is the Lake District, but a beautiful track.
You can have 4 seasons in a day quite easily.
First track I ever saw cut eyes on a kart, and I thought, why am I racing this Formula Ford? I need to race these 100 national things.
Yes.
And went there. Clay Pigeon, back down to the south, and Ella Park. I mean, we came to Ella Park. First time I'd been to Ella Park. What a lovely little track that is.
Indeed. And I think we can probably blow the announcements and say that we're going to be having karting live at Ella Park as well, aren't we?
To round off the chat, round off
so
the
we
season,
can all see who wins what. So we can probably have an exclusive there for this.
Yes, okay.
We'll know who listens on a Saturday.
It's official, everybody. Karting Live TV will be there for the last round of the Access Karting Series, and who knows, James, we might be here for the whole of the season next year. Moving forward,
you'll have to talk to James Cannon, who he deals with all the money and logistics, and I just get to talk on microphones and send out Facebook posts.
The GX UK Cadets.
Yes.
Now then, this is in.
So
this is new. The format of what
yes.
we're about to see is brand new, isn't it? But the GX UK Cadets, not so new. You had experience with these carts last year.
Yeah. So we had GX UK Cadets all of last year. And we had really, really big grids for it, really. I think we had 24 at one round. To say that it was 2018 chassis are older, 160s, which are kind of out of favour now a little bit, and all that kind of good stuff. So what we found was, yes, it was a cheaper format, but it was also a very similar format that could have gone and raced anywhere. There wasn't anything particularly innovative about it. It wasn't different like our other stuff, I suppose. So what we found was it was entry level in the sense of it was cheaper, but the expectation was the same as any other cadet class.
Cadet class.
Yeah. So without we had that typical young driver and parent culture of wanting to be overly competitive, not necessarily how would I put it? Not necessarily recognising the golden opportunity, maybe, of having that sort of cheaper motorsport and friendlier paddock and all that sort of thing. And a lot of the guys, like I say, have moved into 100 UK. Or moved into GX Junior, and we've had all that, and that's great. And we're really happy to keep them. But I think all those ones that have stayed with us have had a recognition, potentially, that if they'd have had to go to Intermax or something like that, the cost model is very different.
Yes.
And now that they've gone into that, I think we've seen them sort of relax into that. I'm not going to Formula One.
Yes.
So what we do
it's
now?
It's not a career path.
No. Yeah, and it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be. It's fun. It's fun for them all. So what this is now. Is it's Saturday only. They do 4 practice sessions, then they do a pre-qualifying, and then they do what they're now doing on the screen, which is the time trial. So
it's not an actual race. It's an actual.
They're just looking to do their best lap.
It's a timed session.
Yes.
Over 10 minutes.
Yes.
And they've been set off at intervals, I've noticed.
Yes. Yeah. We split them up so they don't toe off each other and try and get a sneaky win that they might not necessarily be entitled to.
So they've gone off in the order of Milo Purchase. Now then. You know a little bit about Milo, don't you?
Sometimes too much. I know he's not supposed to be on that bit of grass.
See, now, competitive karting dad?
No, try not to be. Just let them go out and have fun.
That is key.
Yes.
That is very much key.
I always say, if they come back safe and they take the helmet off and they smile, then we're happy.
Yes,
that's all we're
exactly.
after.
And so, you know what? I see a lot of that doesn't happen.
No,
it saddens me.
They never. We always do the. I'm getting into me being a karting dad now, but we always do the fist bump before and the fist puff after. We always give you, love your son, do your best, and that's that. And
as long
whatever
as
the result
smiling.
is whatever the result is. But yeah, we try and just have the fun with it. So they go out there and they do their best and they go as fast as they can, and then that depicts it. And then what we found now is a lot of these guys, I'm included in this, the guys who are out there, guys and girls racing around, their parents are racing on the Sunday. So actually just having a Saturday only offering for the cadets really gives the parents the opportunity to do their racing. So it's good from that perspective.
And all of these kids, this is their first introduction to competitive karting, I take it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
should be. I think if we go through the grid, we've got Milo, who's done a little bit of NATSCAR and then obviously raced with karting last year. Jesse, my youngest, first year. Henry has done a bit of racing at Clay, but he's never been to any other track, so he's giving this a go for the first time. Austin raced with us last year, but we'll probably move up to juniors at some point in the near future.
Right.
And then we've got Cody, whose dad races in 100 UK, and he's giving it his second go. He raced with us at Wilton. And then Leah is Kai Turner's little sister, who's racing in 100 UK juniors.
Right.
So,
and this is Leah's first ever race.
It is.
It's only the second time on track.
Yes. We took her out. Bit of a recover of that. We had Leah was out with us at Wilton for a test day, and we sent them out. And unfortunately, they got mixed up and they got sent out with Inters. So it was a little bit quick for her first go. Yeah, she got a bit a little bit frightened, I think.
Yes,
but
I think so. Yeah.
But so she's gone out and she's done some rental stuff and she's built back up. And she's giving it her all now. It's good.
And it's all about just going round and round and just enjoying the drive.
You know, that's all we're after from them.
And the faster drivers will, and she's staying on a line there, and the faster drivers will find a way by. They will indeed find a way by. There's plenty of time, and she's just staying on a line. The number 21, that's who we're talking about, and the faster drivers will find a way by. And she'll learn, because now she sees those guys pulling away. And she'll think, next time through there, I can go a bit quick.
Yeah, exactly that.
And that's how they learn.
And it's a lovely little bunch we've got here. You see them all going and fist bumping after the races and things like that. And before, and they're just they're there to have fun and enjoy it and see how they get on.
Yeah, you see the parents in junior and cadet racing, where the parents are all intense. The kids are often in the paddock playing football together, and the parents are at loggerheads, and it's sometimes quite a joke. Really.
None of that from our perspective. Just send them all on, send them all smiling. So yeah, if anybody's looking for a really, really sort of easy way for their kids to just do a bit of practice, it's essentially a timed practice where we give them this opportunity to get the trophies and stuff and be around the paddock and learn how the weekend works, but gradually build up the confidence and speed to go into the other classes.
And it's a great idea if you're racing yourself, and sometimes when you race yourself you haven't got time for your kids to race and look after them as well. This gives people an opportunity to race on the Sunday and their kids racing these cadets on the Saturday in a competitive session. Because it's a competitive session at the half distance, I think we should have a rundown of who's doing what with regards to time. Milo Purchase, his fastest time of 52.51. He's gone quickest. Second quickest is the number 88. That's Henry Hill. He's on a 53.57. Not that far behind. In fact, only 2/10 is Jesse Purchase. Jesse's on the M Plate, so the Macy Cup winner back in February. Jesse's time 53.77. The number 80 is fourth. That's Austin Taylor, 55.08. Leah Turner, only our second time on the track in our first competitive weekend. Leah Turner on the number 21 is 57.36. And then a 1 minute 2.3 for Cody. Cody James, his surname is Keenan Hannon. Yes, he's been given his full name on the timing. He has. So so Cody is Cody Keenan Hannon, or Cody James Keenan Hannon if it's a Sunday. Milo Purchase has gone a bit quicker there, has he? 52.21 last time by. Yes. So he's going quicker and quicker, James.
Yeah. So the lap record is 52.04, I think, or something like that. 05.
It is the cadet.
52.02.
So he's
close.
Not far off.
Yeah. So he's been nudging down towards it. He did a 1 in.
He's still
practice.
Got 4 minutes.
Yeah, he did a 1 in practice earlier, so we'll see how he gets on.
He's still got 4 minutes. He's got plenty of time because he's going quicker and quicker and quicker. Let's hope the momentum doesn't, like centrifugal force and off he wangs. So there's plenty of time. I take it there's a podium and a trophy.
Yeah. We do trophies 1 to 3, and we've got top novice, and obviously they've got the same things as everybody else. So they'll run the D plate. They've got the perpetual trophy that will get engraved with the name on it. They'll become part of Access Karting history, same as all the other classes. We don't treat them any differently just because they're only time trialing. We just give them every opportunity to be part of it. Feel like they're thoroughly involved in it all, and hopefully they just enjoy it.
Well, it's a great way of kicking off the weekend as well. After all of the practice sessions, these cadets get to run in an official timed qualifying time trial session, and it is a great idea. I mean, the Bambino class, when it was introduced for 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, that ran as time trials, didn't it?
Yeah,
and it was a great way of rather than getting the kids to race wheel to wheel as an introduction to karting, this is a great idea, and you've kind of resurrected that concept.
Yeah, that was kind of where it came from, because we just felt that they were just getting a little bit too. It sounds wrong, doesn't it? A little bit too racy.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Yes,
and we had, and I think it's worth remembering as well. We have a disproportionately high number of novices in our sessions because we're trying to be entry level. We're trying to bring people in. Like when you look tomorrow, when you see the GX grids, I think it's half of them are novices, and we're constantly having to assess them and work it all out and see what we're going to do with them and move them on and all that kind of good stuff. And so having that disproportionately high number of novices in cadets was difficult to manage as well. So, so I think this being time trial, they're not racing, they're not banging wheels, no one's crashing, no one's getting an ambulance out and all that kind of wonderful stuff that can happen. So they're just enjoying themselves and having track time.
The joy of live streaming, James, is that if you don't get it live, like if you're not sat at home watching this live, you might be sat on a Wednesday afternoon or a Thursday evening or something. And if there is somebody out there thinking, you know what, I've been along to my local car track and that looks really intense and fiery, and I'm really not, I'm not sure I want to put my 9-year-old kid in amongst that.
Yep.
And they're watching this, they've picked up on this, and this, you know, this is a great way of getting your kid introduced. And the other thing, and perhaps where my brain has gone from that, is the first time you sit in a kart, invariably will be a practice day.
Yes.
But then this is kind of like a drawn-out practice day. And we're still in practice mode, you know, with regards to, we're not racing, but it's competitive. So you can see, and your competitor, your driver, your kid can see how well they're doing in comparison and grow from that.
Absolutely.
And it's great. It is a great concept.
Yeah, I mean, like Milo, I'm fairly sure we'll move into 100 UK Junior sort of next year.
Right.
Jesse will stay in cadets for a couple more years because he's only just old enough anyway. He's only 8. So we'll keep him there, and you know they'll just develop as they go.
So what are the ages then? Cadets?
So we lowered this from, like, the MSUK, I think, has it that you can be a cadet to, oh God,
in the year of your 8th birthday.
You have to be 8, and it's the year of your 13th is the top. But what we've lowered this to is year of 12th, so we don't keep them in this too long.
Right. Okay.
Because I think it would probably be a bit disingenuous if a 13-year-old who just turned 13 started trying to race this.
Yeah, true.
You know, they're more than capable of going into GX, and GX will start from 10 year of 11th, so they can get into GX Juniors no problem. And that's probably where, you know,
will this engine that they're carrying on their cadet kart transfer
so
into
Sam Blammy, who we were talking about, who did the fastest time in GX Juniors, he's done exactly that. He's taken his 160 off of his cadet and put it onto his GX Junior. And
what's the difference then? How are you restricting? Is there any restriction on that?
No. So we in MSUK they would have had a restrictor within the 160s, but we take the restrictor out as part of that, and we run them a couple of kilos heavier, so that
I see.
So it just gives slightly bigger kids who are coming to it a bit late. So this is really, you know, the way I look at our junior session, GX Juniors, is: did you miss the opportunity to be a cadet? Are you too old?
Yes.
And you've come to karting a bit late.
Yeah.
I'm looking at cadets in a similar fashion of: did you come to owner driving a bit later than some of the other kids might have, and jump into this and see how you go.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it.
Actually. Yeah. Whereas I think the TKM stuff is maybe you're a very experienced rentler, or you've done some other stuff, and then you might want to jump into that. And we've had a few of those. I know there's, I think, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, so I hope I don't. But I think Oliver Borg, who came third at Wilton, I think he's done the Bookmore Enduros and stuff in the rental stuff, and then he's kind of moved into this as his first crack at owner stuff, and he's hit the ground running because he's done so much of that. So, well,
James, it might start costing you a lot of money, this karting malarkey, because you've got to purchase one too. Well, Milo at the top of the timing screens, he'll take the first step of the podium with a 52.21, and then Jesse Purchase carrying the M plate for the Macy Cup when he is on the second step of the podium with a 53.09. Henry Hill, he's third. His time 53.57. He's the number 88. Who have we got on screen? That's the number 308, isn't it? But fourth place, Austin Taylor, 54.81. Leah Turner in her first ever competitive session, a 57.09. And then Cody James, Keenan Hannon. That's Cody James, Keenan Hannon, a 1 minute 1.13. That's your 6 GX UK Cadet time trial. And what time's the presentation?
We're going to do the presentation at 5:45. So we're going to run all the sessions through to 5:30 today, and then we've got an open pit lane for half an hour for our pro karts, because our pro karts only do Sundays as a rule, but because we've got half an hour slack in the timetable, we've offered them the opportunity to do a bit of driving around and get some practice in before we go to tomorrow. So,
all right, that's good.
And then at 6 o'clock we're going to be taking some pictures. We're going to get all of the Honda shod karts, and we're going to get them all lined up on this grid and get some pictures to show people what we're all about, so we can do some media stuff with it. So that's going to be a good thing to look at. Great stuff.
Next karts that are due out for their 6th and final practice is the 115 UKs. Now then, the 115 stands for the size of engine, doesn't it? It's a TKM air-cooled engine.
Yes.
Single cylinder, and this is the modern TKM, isn't it? The 115cc.
More modern, but we're still on 30mm axles, and we're still direct drive. So we're not tag or anything like that, and we're not anything Italian. It's all the new, sort of all the British manufactured stuff.
So you're not allowed anything other than a British chassis? Is that what you said?
I think in the later homologation, so the 2007, there was a few in there. So there's a couple of CRGs and the Tony Kart Vipers and things, which a few of the guys are on.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally speaking, most of the stuff would still be English made, and
okay.
it's all still 2 bearing, all 30mm axle, and they're on the same tyre as our other TKM classes.
How old are the chassis?
So these will all be 2004 to 2009. So it's our newer TKM class, but it's still of a retro ilk.
Yes. So we've got an engine-wise, what's the difference between the current modern 100 TKM engine that we saw, Forest Edge 2 weeks ago with the NKC? What's the difference? Because fundamentally they're the same motor, aren't they?
So I think with you're going to test me now because I didn't drive that era, but I think essentially the tag stuff has got a bigger bottom end bearing, different clutch. It's on a V clutch.
Oh God, mate, you're way above my head.
and you've got the battery pack for the electric start to fire.
Yes, right.
So I think those are the main differences. I think the head volume is slightly tighter on a tag because of the extra weight on the crank. So I think they're allowed a slightly shorter volume just to make sure that they can equalise the power. So they're supposed to still be the same performance as a direct drive 115.
So what's stopping me taking a 115cc TKM engine that was part of the NKC 2 weeks ago and bringing that into your series? Would it be
regulations?
Yes, but what I mean is who's regulating that then? Is your scrutiny on top of all of that?
Yeah. So we've got slightly different regulations for the engines between 100 and 115. So 100 only allows up to crankcase number 6799, which is the smaller bearing around the crank, the smaller bottom end bearing. I'm probably getting this wrong and somebody's going to criticise me online. And then
you're in charge. It's your series. You can do what you want.
I'm sure I'm right. And then these guys can have the slightly newer engine, but they can't run the V clutch. So they can run a horse-run clutch still. So they can have an external starter, but they can't have the internal clutch starter.
Right.
So they can't have that battery pack. So it's just making sure that we keep it as. I mean, 100 UK is probably more period than this in the sense of 100 UK was kind of created to be a period class.
Yes.
It is based on that period, but we've made some concessions to try and make the access into this class a little easier.
When did the 115cc TKM engine come into being then? I'm only familiar with
2004.
Back in the day.
So when 2004 they bought in the Ackerman steering, the 90-degree pod bars, the crash-tested bodywork, which was Unico at the time, and there was a few others, and then the 115 engine, and it was kind of that era when people were starting to go Rotax, and it was a way of trying to make CKM go a little bit faster.
Well, it's kind of modernising it, wasn't it? It was bringing it in. I mean, it was an early 90s. Did we say 94? Did you say
the engine was actually made in? Oh God, I'm sure that it was tested on track in '86.
Yes, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and it's fundamentally unchanged. I know that they had a lot of American uptake of it, sort of the very early crankcases. So if you've got a crankcase that's registered less than 1,000, I think about half of them went to America at some point, and I think they still race them out there now occasionally. Mm-hmm. So we've got that kind of thing going on. But yeah, it's nice to bring it all back. And this is very much the era that 100 UK and the crossover into this was sort of the time I was around and enjoying it also.
There's something different in the handling of a direct drive kart than like these karts, even though they're running clutches. There's something different about the way that the TKM races in comparison to other classes. TKM drivers kind of make a fool of me on most of my commentaries when I say, this is a part of the track that you'll never be able to overtake on.
Yes.
And then now come the TKMs and they go around the outside of one another or down the inside, and I think, how did he do that?
Yeah.
What is it about the TKM that makes them such the kind of kart where you can actually, if you're brave enough, have a go at places where other people can't?
I think because if we strip it back, I think the karts are fundamentally lighter, rawer. We're not over gripped, so the drivers can make a bit of difference. If you look at like a 177 Rotax or anything, obviously you've got a lot more to turn, a lot slower rotation. Similar to what we were saying to our 300, their speed is in different places and the way they race is different. Whereas TKMs, they're very, very nimble and very pointy generally, and there'll be a few people in the paddock who are probably trying to solve chronic understeer all day, and they'll disagree with me.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's lots of good stuff out there that you can see them doing. I think they're just fundamentally lighter and more nimble, and that gives the opportunity for the drivers to make a bit of a difference, and you can make those places up in spots where you might not expect to.
Now, Luke Ogden, carrying the number 1 2024 champion in this class, has already gone underneath the lap record by 5/100ths of a second. It was the lap record was a 4. Where have I gone?
Which also was Luke, I think.
which was also Luke. All right, 47.990. He's gone 47.85. So
should be faster really with the resurfacing work.
That's we're going to see. We're going to see that, and especially with the weather being as beautiful as it is, we are going to see lap records being changed here, aren't we?
I think so. I think we'll probably see quite a few this weekend, which it's all progress.
Going to be a good one though. All plate holder Gordon Smith second.
Yeah, and Gordon and Luke really had like a bit of well, the class was a bit smaller last year. We had sort of on average 10 maybe out racing. We had one race where we had 13 or 14, I think it was, but then this year it's been massive growth. We've had a lot of people who've started to get involved. If I go down that list of names, there's people in there that
17.
Yeah. I think we had 22 at Wilton. There's, and all the ones that aren't here now, they're all been in contact, and they've just got family commitments, which is right. We're a national championship, yes, but life first, and people have got hen-dos. Hi to Joe Dean, who's not here with us, but her to-be husband is Charlie, and so he's out there racing. He's let her off to go and do the hen-do, and and there's a few others, that just can't make this one. But yeah, I think we've got like a core 26 probably who are going to be racing over the course of the year, and it'll be.
What's the scoring then to accommodate that? Because
we
drop scores, etc.
Yeah, so we have a drop score, so it's 5 from 6, but we don't have the concept of you have to be there to drop it. So you don't have to come and sign on. You don't have to enter. It's literally just completely miss the round.
So if you miss the round, that can count as you drop.
That you drop. Yeah.
All right, that's good.
Because
that's good for people.
That's part of what we are. I think is and the only exception to that is the cadets. They've only got to count 4 from the 6.
Right.
Because again, if they haven't got a parent travelling with them, they might only want to pick the 4 that are closest. So we've just given that a little bit more leeway, just so they can feel again engaged in the championship and feel like they're part of it and all that kind of good stuff. So
yeah, that's cool. I like the idea of that. GX UK Seniors out next. This is the even numbered carts, and we've got 23 entered. I don't know how many is going to come out for their final practice session. There's some people don't have to come out, James, do they? I mean, it's not a mandatory practice session, is it?
Absolutely not. I mean, we encourage it because we.
Because you might have done enough.
Well, they might have done, but we want to check the transponders.
Right, okay.
Right.
So am I right? This is mandatory then?
No. We just asked they put the transponders on session 5 and 6, just so that we can work the timing and get it all squared up and know what they're doing.
Because you want your transponder to work.
Yeah, absolutely. But because we've got the cadet time trial, so we have to run the timing system.
Yes.
We'd rather work out whose transponders are wrong today than we would tomorrow morning, trying to do it in a rush. So we've got 2 full rotations to get it all squared up, rather than having to try and fix it all in 3 laps.
Yeah, we've got a few TXs that have popped up all the time.
You'll probably see them starting to get allocated as they pop round. But that's the point.
Who was it that won this championship last year? Was it
Brad?
Brad, yeah.
Who's moved into 100 UK this year.
Yeah, so Brad's moved into a completely different motor, hasn't he?
Yes.
I don't know why he's done that, to be honest. Has he told you?
No, I think it was just he wanted a different challenge.
True.
This
was a hard-fought championship, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, as I've said, I'm going to wax lyrical about this. I am going to wax lyrical about this class all weekend, James, because this is one of my favourite classes in the whole.
We don't mind.
Not just karting, mate. The whole of motorsport.
Oh, okay.
And I see a lot of motorsport. This is just phenomenal. I love the way these things race. And like I say, they don't have to be the fastest karts out there. They are absolutely the pure racing that we see from these drivers, and you can just see the fun you have. And everybody, if you are watching this on YouTube, when we are finished with this Karting Live TV coverage, have a look for Alex Van Geen. He's out in the odd numbered class actually earlier on, but Alex Van Geen has a YouTube channel where you can follow. And some of his on-board footage, I'm in there racing with him, mate. I am absolutely going for gaps. And I'm thinking, you can just live vicariously through Alex and his YouTube channel. It's phenomenal to watch.
Yeah,
check it out.
Alex has done a few nice pieces because there's so many new drivers. He's done a nice piece on walking around the paddock and just, a few quick-fire questions, name, number, what your history about.
Really helpful.
And it was
really helpful to me.
And strangely, really helpful for me because there's so many names that I have to interact with and people I'm messaging and trying to help people find stuff and help people understand how the weekend format works and all that kind of great stuff. and then I've never seen them. And then suddenly Alex's video shows me a load of faces, and I'm like, oh, okay.
You just that's
that's who it is. That's who it is.
Face to the name.
Yeah,
yes.
It's one of those situations where everybody knows me, and I struggle with who people are. But if they sent me a message, I'd know exactly who they are. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it was nice to see some faces, and it was nice that they all engaged in it and did it as well, and sort of played along with the camera footage and helped promote what it is and how friendly it is, and the fact that everybody he asked to do it was happy to do it. It was good.
Who won round 1 in this one?
Mr. Sharrock, number 2.
Yes, I was going to ask who's going to beat Mr. Sharrock this year. Then,
well, in the last 3 rounds, we've had 3 different winners. So we had Anwar win the O Plate, and then we had Philip Richardson win the M Plate, and then Jacob won at Wilson. So, and those 3 came across the line nose to tail at Wilson, which was quite interesting. It was a good race.
And this is how competitive this is. I'm just looking back at Wilton. So, heat winners. Jacob won his second heat. Anwar Barrow-Smith won his first heat. Matthew Roberts won his second heat. Russell Endine won his third heat. Alex Horn won his second heat.
And you had a podium placing quite far down as well in the championship order. Yeah,
we did. Yes,
so
Ronnie Townsend.
Ronnie, who's our junior champion from last year, who's moved up.
A 28th, a 15th, a 2nd, and a 21st.
Yes,
that's how competitive this is. And then the podium at round 1 was Jacob Sharrock, Anwar Barrow-Smith, and Philip Richardson on the M Plate. It's going to be a cracker, isn't it, this season?
Yeah,
because if Wilton Mills to go by, how competitive that was. Pick a winner this weekend, can you?
I wouldn't want to. Yeah,
absolutely not.
Yeah, I think because, like we said about the regulations being so tight and the way it works, no one's going to show anybody a clean pair of heels and be down the road.
No, they're not.
And I think that the toe in Honda racing generally is quite strong. So I think as soon as somebody gets on that back straight and they're just following each other, I don't think anybody's going to break away. And
the other thing we're going to see is if somebody does break away, if you work together, and not try to overtake and not fight. It's remarkable, isn't it? The physics. I love the science of it, where 2 carts can actually circulate faster than one cart by themselves. And I don't know how that works.
No, it's odd.
I'm sure there's numbers in that to go with that.
And throw into the mix, I think we had Matt Roberts, who was fastest in the odds. He was, I think he had a few issues in one of the heats at Wilson, so we started a bit further down and came through to 4th, I think. And then we didn't have Tom Angier with us, who's the 4 plate from last year, because he was poorly. So he's back. So he's looking to make an impact, I think so. And then you've got Lewis Jones, I think, has raced Rotax, and he's friends with Matt and Jacob, and sort of comes from that Lancaster band. They come down sort of en masse together and all help each other out.
I love that. I love that scene in the paddock of 4 or 5 carts under a couple of awnings, a couple of easy ups, and everybody just helping, just prepping the carts.
Well, to give an example to that, Jacob has had a little prang in one of the practice sessions and bent an axle, and I saw 4 people lending him axles, changing his axle with him, helping him, and they're all people who are on plated numbers who probably want to beat him, and they were throwing axles in his car. So that's what we try to foster, and that's what it should all be about.
As I said, you hate each other on the track, but you're absolute mates off the track.
Nobody you want to beat more than your mate.
Absolutely not. What we're seeing in this practice session is pretty much what we're going to see. The type of footage that we're bringing you is what we're going to see during the racing tomorrow. However, this isn't racing. These guys are just having fun. They're finding out what, give us an idea, James, in a practice session like this. What are you looking for? Are you looking for the weaknesses and strengths of your competitors, perhaps when you're going around, circulating with them?
So I think the guys at the front of this are currently just looking for how many laps from the end have I got to make my move when I'm in the tow before I get taken back.
Yes.
So if you watch, I think if we look there, we've got Mr. Richardson, Mr. Jones, and Mr. Sharrock all split by half a tenth, the top 3.
Incredible,
isn't it? And they'll be nose to tail. And I bet you if we look out there at the window somewhere, they are literally nose to tail, which they're coming under us now. So yeah.
Well, we've got 8 carts within half a second.
There you go.
From Paul,
and that's half of the grid. So you can probably stick another 8 in that.
Yeah.
About that sort of time frame. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It won't be spread. Interesting to see some novices getting a bit into the mix and getting higher up in the order as well. So that's good.
This is. I'm right to get excited about this. I'm not strange, am I? This is pure racing. It's absolutely. I don't think to anyone. I mean, we got a massive response from our stalwart fans who kind of follow sports car racing from IMSA all the way through and follow us on Karting Live TV. And they absolutely love this class. Again, if you love motorsport, you can't help but love the GX class.
We'll definitely try and bring you more of it over the coming months.
We have got the 100 UK seniors out whoops, hang on.
So this should be the last session of the day before we get those pro karts out there.
Yeah, before the pro karts are allowed out. So the last 10-minute session, we'll be back. What time do we go racing tomorrow, James?
We're from 9 tomorrow. Full packed day, 9 till about 5:35 with no delays, hopefully. So we'll see how we go.
Don't say that, mate. No, this is motorsport. This is karting.
No.
We'll be on air. I would say, Nick, at 5 to the hour. Would you suggest with 9 o'clock? You're starting warm up at 9 o'clock.
Warm up at 9, racing from 10.
Right. So we're going to be 5 to 10.
Yeah.
So this is the last session of the afternoon. It's given us a chance to catch up with James Purchase, one of the series organisers. Who's the team that you have? There's the two Jameses, as I call you.
So there's me and Mr. Cannon, who are the sort of primary owners, and we do a lot of we do everything away from the track outside of. So we've got Taylor Fox, who does all our media stuff, so he creates all our posters and puts all that sort of good stuff out there. We've got Charlotte, who's our grid marshal, so she travels around with us to every track. We've got John Allen, who's our assistant clerk, and he's been managing the weighbridge and all that kind of good stuff today, which is great. And he did it all for us yesterday as well, because he just loves it, so he came an extra day. And then we've got Cliff White, who's our chief scrutineer, so he's out there helping with that, and he's safety checking as we stand. We've got Sean McKenzie, who's our assistant clerk, and he's also doing safety checks for us on Saturdays, which is great, because again, just comes up and mucks in. We've got Faith Cannon, who is James's niece, and she looks after front of house with Sarah Phillips, who is James's sister-in-law. So they all sort of manage that front of house reception side of it, name to the face of the name for people to come and get engaged with. We do have a permanent clerk, but he unfortunately isn't here this weekend because he's got prior engagements, which is Harry Heath. So we're missing Harry, I'm sure, but he should be back with us at some point in the future. And yeah, so we're kind of trying to because we've gone from no people and just me and James running around with guest classes, going crazy, doing 20 weekends a year racing, taking GX UK Senior to one, 100 UK to another, 115 to another, just trying to build the classes in 23. And then suddenly found ourselves running a series and needing lots and lots of people to make lots and lots of good things happen. So we've kind of built out from there. So I think we're kind of getting there now.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job. And when you consider the entries across your classes, 180, I think is what you said, James.
I'm going to have missed a member of the team, aren't I?
Of course you have.
No idea who I've missed. But
everybody else who you forgot to mention,
I'll just say
you're going to have to buy a big box of chocolates.
Yeah, I can see me having
the biscuits.
I'll definitely be paying for desserts in the hotel.
Yeah, you absolutely will. This is the 100 UK Seniors. It's the 100cc air-cooled TKM engine. Now, this is the pure TKM engine that I was more familiar with, James, back in the day. And are these karts and engines are not necessarily from period, but we have got some 30-year-old karts out there. Samantha Topless is out on the number 10, 10th in the championship last year, but out on the number 10. Her kart was in 1996, but they're not all necessarily as old as that out here at the moment.
No, so anything up to 2000. So we've limited it to the homologations from 94 and 98. So anything from 94 to 2. Oh, sorry, we've recently brought in another homologation this year. Sorry, apologies. So because with 115 being from 2004, we had this little weird gap where we had 2001 to 2003 chassis that couldn't be used.
Yeah.
And the only place that could be using them was the juniors, and the juniors was a bit smaller class last year, but it's obviously grown. So we've opened that out. So now it's the 94 homologation, the 98 homologation, and the 2001 homologation. So all those three are there together. So you can have a kart anywhere from 94 to 2003.
Right.
Out there. And same with all the engines.
Yeah, I've got one in the garage, mate. I've got a 2002 Cosmic.
That would be an FA chassis. I don't think it'd be applicable to this because that's Italian, isn't it? It's part of.
Really?
Yeah. So everything out there will be British.
We'll have to sell it and buy something else.
Yeah. So everything here is going to be Venom, ARC, Gillard, Wright. I'm going to miss plenty, but
I know you are. I know. I'm trying to think. Stevenson Sprint.
Yeah, Davidson's.
Yeah.
I don't think they made a 2001 homologation chassis, but definitely got the earlier ones.
Certainly 90s, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, for sure. Project One are obviously out there as well, which are, strangely, when you say Project One to people, they just automatically go
Think
Cadets.
of the team.
Well, they go Cadets, don't they? Because modern karting, that's all they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, back in this period, they were very well known for their TKM senior karts, and we had previous champion Ben Klukas used to be raced for them in period, and then raced on the chassis that he would have used in period with us.
Yeah.
So.
Is Ben out this weekend?
No, Ben's. I think Ben's taking a year off. I think he's concentrating on his GT driving and driver coaching, and we might see him again next year.
Okay.
He did join us at the Macy Cup.
Right.
I think he came in on the podium. Oh no, sorry, just missed the podium at Macy Cup.
We have got the GX senior champion in the form of Bradley Philpott.
Yes,
he's out in this category now, and he will be finding his feet with slightly more power.
Yes. Slightly less grip.
Slightly less grip. It'll feel like less grip, certainly with the amount of power. The 100cc engines, again, they are regulated to the same extent. Are we running the same regulations as we did back in the 90s?
So we've followed the modern fiche, which is there's marginal differences. So there's just like different plugs and different. Yeah.
Is that because plugs have been modernised over 30 years?
Yeah. And we didn't want to make it so restrictive that it was almost impossible to get out on track. So we've just followed the modern regulations for the engine, but we've got our own regulations for the chassis, which isn't much different to what it was in period anyway.
I mean, I was going to say, is there much difference between the number 10 kart there of Samantha on a 1996 chassis to a kart that is a 2003? I mean, they didn't change that greatly, did they?
Massively. I mean, when we were driving them at the time, new chassis is always slightly quicker.
Yes.
But it's just because it's new, I think. So there was a couple of tenths in it, like from 2000 to 2001, but you couldn't really ascertain whether it was just new metal or whether it was a better design. But I think if you jump to 2004, then the karts did go a bit quicker because we changed the engine, we changed the design, we put Ackerman steering on. There were different shapes, different.
The Ackerman steering that made a big difference.
Yeah. So there are differences there for sure, where the karts they were an evolution of what they had been previously.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Can you pick a winner from this one?
I mean.
I'm going to check out. The winners from round one to give us a hand.
So Daniel Menz and James Ogden were sort of a bit down the field from the rest, and then they were followed by Scott, and then we had Brad and Brad and James Dawkins.
I've got James Phillip. I've got Hayden Taylor getting a third place in one of those.
Yeah, Hayden's not here this weekend, otherwise he might have been in the mix. James Phillips was qualified fourth for the final at Wilton, and he was looking quick. But he had a turn one incident that took himself and Brendan Williams out in that first corner.
You're currently fifth in the championship.
We don't talk about that.
The pressure's going to mount.
It's attritional, that one. No, I had a good round. That was probably one of my better rounds that I've had in 100 UK, and I rode my luck, and it was all right.
You are racing tomorrow, aren't you?
Yes, I'll be out there.
Do you find that a bit of a challenge then, being the series organizer and dealing with your clients? They're all customers out here.
I've known the 100 UK grid for a good long while, just purely because they've all been friends who I've raced with before we sort of created Access Karting and made it a thing. So they're all used to me out there, and I think the one thing I will say about my own racing is I'm not a calamity waiting to happen. I'm generally speaking very reliable, don't crash into people, all that kind of good stuff. So
I'm going to take you up on that.
I haven't had to change my driving style very much to be the series organizer. And me and James Cannon both raced. James Cannon's racing in 115 UK.
Right.
So what we've done is we've managed to entice a happy mechanic who's looking after the karts for us, so we don't have to do any of the maintenance in between. So we can literally run down to the grid, jump out, go,
arrive and drive.
Yeah, pretty much. Stuff. Pretty much.
Well, James, thank you for taking quite a chunk of time out of your busy schedule and keeping everybody happy in the paddock. Thanks for all that information. It was quite insightful. I hope everybody at home found that as informative as we did. Like I said earlier, we are racing throughout the day. Hopefully we might get a bit 5 minutes lunch just to grab a sandwich.
Maybe.
I doubt it.
Might let you.
I doubt it. But we are back with you at about 5 minutes to 10 in the morning, where Nick and I will be bringing you all of the racing from all of our classes, what you've seen this afternoon. Once again, big thank you to James Purchase, and a big thank you to Laura and Ash out there on the cameras, and Nick, who's been swapping the pictures around for us. We'll see you in the morning. Goodbye, and have a good night.